I built a loft bed for my daughter.
I'm at a rare tip. Tell them all just stand down to the cup goal and the stands clear. I've been out running, top gunning competition. They know who the man here. I can never fail, I can never fall. Count it up without a cashier. I can be.
It wasn't fast or easy, and the outcome is borderline mediocre. But it's fun and safe, and she loves it.
No top 10, I'm the throne. This how you elevate it without selling out. I kept it true to me, ain't never tested clock. Now they like, who is he? Who am I? Never tired of running through a night. Breaking pressure if you knew or not, cause I could never settle for another spot.
The intention of this video is not to teach you how to build a loft bed, but to show you that it's doable. And yeah, if I can do it, so can you. All you need is the audacity to try, and the clarity to accept that not everything in life has to be polished with clean cuts. Yeah, I'm pretty chuffed about this project. I didn't do it to save money or to be able to customize it. I did it because I wanted to see if I can. Not wanting to come across as a woodworker, which I'm not. I'm just a guy that's not afraid to try new things, making a shitload of mistakes along the way and showing you the outcome even though it's not perfect. I started with this project by thinking about it for a month and came up with 3 end goals. No visible screws, cheaper than the cheapest bed, and no wobbling or creaking. Let's get into it. The legs of this bed are going to be 4x4s. So these are square 2x4s basically. 4 over 4 inches. It's not really 4 inches, it's a bit less, but that's what they're called. How do I connect to this frame, which is where the mattress is going to be, to the actual legs? Well, what carpenters do is use, in many cases, notches. Basically, notches is a partial cut through the wood, okay? The most common notch is called a U-shaped notch, and it's a U shape that goes all the way through. I need a corner notch, okay? It's a notch that doesn't go all the way through. It's basically just a corner. So it will go halfway down here and halfway up here. I don't think I'm making sense. I'll draw it for you. So a regular notch will go in and then all the way through. So all this will be cut out and all this. So let's just call it the Jeff notch, all right? The Jeff notch goes halfway and halfway. And then the frame can go in and come out like that. So if you're looking at the front, you will see the leg. The frame will be in the back. So until someone mentions in the comments what this notch is called, it's going to be called the Jeff notch. We're going with the Jeff notch. Making a U-shaped notch, pretty easy. You just use a circular saw to go through many, many times, and then use a chisel and a hammer and you just break it down. But how do you make a Jeff notch? Well, the way I've thought about it is using a jigsaw. So here's the jigsaw cut. And if I measure it, it's 6.2 centimeters deep, 4.4 centimeters deep. So I need to find a way to make my jigsaw cut 4 centimeters deep. So I need to make an extension that will sit here that's 2.2 centimeters deep. And then when I cut with the jigsaw, I'm going to get exactly a perfect 4 centimeter cut. That's my idea. Good to go. got this very unsmooth surface that I need to somehow find a way to clean up with that. I don't have a chisel. Maybe, okay, I've got a chisel. Okay, so I've drilled 3 ledges onto the wall. The 4th corner, which is in the air, will have an actual leg that holds it in place. Now, the ledges aren't really going to be holding the entire weight of the bed and the kid and all that, obviously. We are going to be putting legs underneath where the ledges are, and this will actually hold the bed. And it will also cover the screws so that I can keep up with my rule where I don't want any screws to be visible. So in the end, what these anchors do, they have 2 functions. 1, it helps me position it and put the main leg in place. And 2, it keeps the bed kind of steady because it will be anchored onto the wall, the bed itself. Nervous? Let's do this. It was much easier than I thought. Woo! This is okay. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, maybe yes. Got the ladder legs here, and I cut them using the miter saw. I've become pretty accurate with that miter saw, but if it's separate cuts, it's never going to be perfect. So I don't know if you can see it here, but there's a slight difference between each one of the pieces, probably a 2mm difference, which means I'm cutting I'm freehanding it and getting pretty accurate with 2mm, but 2mm isn't perfect. Perfect is 0mm. So I'm going to try and make it even more accurate by holding the pieces together and trying to take off about 2mm with the miter saw, which shouldn't be too much of an issue. Let's see if we can do it. Now they are exactly the same length. Still trying to adhere to the no screw rule, so I'm going to be building this ladder with no screws at all. The alternative, the only one that I'm aware of, is using dowel pins, wood glue, and clamps. I've even bought a couple of new clamps for the occasion. What we're going to do now is make 2 holes on each side of each step where the dowel pins will go into, and then equivalent 2 holes on each of the ladder legs. Now this needs to be very accurate in order for it to work. So for this occasion, I printed 2 separate jigs. The first jig is a jig that I can position the holes for the dowel pins on the ladder steps. You just put it on the edge there. You've got 2 holes where I can mark and then create the holes in exactly the same position on each of the sides. For the actual legs, I've also created a jig, but this one was a bit more tricky because you've got 2 legs and the holes on the legs need to be in exactly the same position, right? So the legs are aligned to each other, and then I position the jig and make the 4 marks for the holes, and then I just move on to the next position wherever I want the second leg. This way the holes on the legs will be in a perfect position with respect to each one of the steps. If the distance between two legs is 22 centimeters and the next two legs is 23 centimeters, it doesn't matter. No one will ever know. It won't even affect the user experience of climbing the ladder. Talking about user experience, I checked with ChatGPT what the standard distance should be for a 9-year-old to climb it. It's around 25 centimeters. I've got younger kids than my 9-year-old that's going to be sleeping on this bed. The kids are super excited about this bunk bed. They're going up and down it all the time. When the ladder is going to be installed, it's just going to carry on. So I'm going to make it 22 centimeters. These new fancy clamps, they're not fancy, they're just new and long, so that I can close them all. Will definitely stop a raging kid. There are a few flaws to this project which I'm pretty sure you noticed, but I'm still going to point them out. The notch cuts were crooked, connecting the legs was a nightmare. I'm still waiting to hear what that corner notch is called and how pros actually cut it. There are some visible screws at the top of the ladder which I'll cover with some thin piece of wood, but apart from that you can't see any screws when looking at the bed. The bed creaks. I suspect the leg that's a bit too close to the window. I'll have to fix that too. The wood for the bed cost around 700 shekels, which is definitely cheaper than the cheapest bed I could find online. Building a safe and dust-free mitre station. Every time I use that mitre saw on the floor, I hate it a little bit more. The slightest cut creates a cloud of madness that just sets on everything. Pocket holes are crucial. I know there are some really good tools out there, but they are surprisingly expensive, and I've got a few good 3D printing ideas that I want to try out. The next part of this build will be to fix all the nuances I just mentioned, also to add a table, some shelves, some lighting for underneath the bed. This will be coming in one of the next few videos, probably not the immediate one, because the last thing I want is a bunch of new subscribers that think that this is a mediocre woodworking channel. As always, thank you for your time, and I will see you on the next one.